Hello, and a very warm welcome to English Podcast for Life. I'm your host, Mark, and I'm absolutely buzzing today.
And I'm Sarah, feeling just as excited. Mark, can you believe it? The days are longer, the sun is shining, and there's that special feeling in the air.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, Sarah. It's the feeling of summer vacations being just around the corner. Or perhaps, for some of our listeners, already here. That's our big topic for today, folks. We're going to spend the next 2.5 hours diving deep into everything about summer holidays.
We'll cover everything from the very first spark of an idea for a trip, to the planning, the packing, the amazing experiences you have while you're away, and even those little mishaps that sometimes turn into the best stories later on.
We've got some personal anecdotes to share, some fantastic tips, and we'll also be asking for your vacation memories and questions later in the show. So get ready to share.
So, find your comfiest chair, maybe make yourself a refreshing drink, a lemonade, an iced tea, and let's escape into the wonderful world of summer vacations.
Sarah, let's kick things off with the most exciting part for me, the dream. When you first start thinking about a summer vacation, what's the very first image that pops into your head?
Oh, that's easy, Mark. For me, it's a moment of complete relaxation. Picture this. I'm sitting somewhere warm, maybe by a calm sea, with a gentle breeze, and I'm just reading a really good book. No schedule, no rushing. Pure peace. How about you?
That sounds idyllic, Sarah. For me, it's all about adventure and discovery. I imagine exploring a new place, somewhere I've never been before. Maybe a bustling market in a foreign city, or a hidden path leading to an incredible viewpoint. And, of course, the promise of warm weather is essential. I really need that sunshine.
Sunshine is definitely a key ingredient for a summer vacation. Do you find yourself planning your holidays months in advance? Or are you more of a spontaneous traveler?
I try to be organized, especially if it's a bigger trip that involves flights and hotels. I like to get the best deals and make sure everything is sorted. But I also love the idea of a last-minute getaway. You know, just throwing a few things in a bag and seeing where the road takes you. Have you ever done something completely spontaneous for a summer holiday?
I've definitely had some less planned trips. Once, a few years ago, a friend called me on a Friday afternoon and said, "Sarah, there's a cheap train ticket to the coast tomorrow, want to go?" And I said yes. We just booked a small guest house and spent the weekend by the sea. It was simple, but so much fun because it was unexpected.
That sounds fantastic. It shows you don't always need a huge plan for a great time. Now, there are so many different types of summer vacations. Are you a beach holiday person, a city explorer, or do you prefer the mountains or countryside?
I'm definitely a mix, but if I had to choose, I'd lean towards a relaxing beach holiday with opportunities to explore charming local towns nearby. I love the feeling of warm sand between my toes and the sound of the waves. But I also enjoy wandering through the narrow streets of an old town, maybe finding a hidden cafe. What about you, Mark?
I'm similar, but with a bit more emphasis on activity. I love a few days by the beach, definitely, for swimming and relaxing. But then, I need to get out and about. Maybe a bit of hiking or visiting some historical sites. I also love trying water sports like paddleboarding or kayaking, if I get the chance. I find mountains beautiful to look at, but I'm not sure I'd spend a whole week climbing them.
I understand that. So, when you're dreaming up these trips, do you have a favorite summer destination that you keep going back to? or do you always try to visit somewhere new?
I generally try to visit somewhere new. The world is so big, and there's so much to see. But if I had to pick a place I'd happily revisit, it would be Italy. The food, the history, the scenery, it just has everything for me. What about you, Sarah? Is there a place that holds a special place in your summer memories?
Oh, Italy is wonderful. For me, it's probably the Greek islands. I've been to a few different ones, and each has its own unique charm. The light, the food, the clear blue water, it's just magical. I have so many happy memories from there.
I can picture it. All right, before we move on to the practical side of planning, let's quickly talk about budget. Is that something that impacts your summer vacation choices significantly?
Absolutely. For most people, it's a big factor. I try to find a good balance between what I want to do and what I can afford. Sometimes that means choosing a closer destination or maybe self-catering instead of a hotel. It's all about making your budget work for you.
Great point. It's not about how much you spend, but about the experience you create. We're going to take a short break now, but when we come back, we'll be moving from dreaming to doing, planning and booking your summer getaway. Stay with us on English Podcast for Life.
Welcome back to English Podcast for Life. We've spent some time dreaming about our perfect summer escapes. Now, let's get down to the details. Mark, once you have an idea of where you want to go, what's your next step in the planning process?
For me, it's all about research. I go online, look at different accommodation options, hotels, apartments, guest houses. I read reviews carefully. I also check flights or train times and compare prices. I try to be organized so I don't miss out on good deals. Do you use any specific websites or apps for your travel planning?
I do a lot of online research too. I use a mix of travel booking sites for flights and hotels. But I also love looking at travel blogs and social media for ideas and recommendations. I find that real people's experiences can be very helpful. And I always look at the location on a map to see how close it is to the things I want to visit.
That's smart. Location is key, especially if you want to explore. Now, let's talk about the dreaded or loved, depending on your personality, task of packing. Sarah, are you a light packer who only takes the essentials? Or do you tend to pack for every possible situation?
Mark, I really try to be a light packer. I look at all the online guides that say pack light, pack smart. But somehow, my suitcase always ends up full. I think, what if it's colder than I expect? What if there's a fancy restaurant? What if I decide to go hiking? So, I usually overpack. Do you have any golden rules for packing?
My golden rule is, make a list and stick to it. I literally write down every single item. And I try to pack clothes that can be mixed and matched. So, a few tops that go with the same pair of trousers or shorts. And I always roll my clothes. It does save space, I promise. Have you ever had a packing disaster, like forgetting something super important?
Oh, yes. Once, I went on a weekend trip and I totally forgot my phone charger. My phone died on Saturday morning, and I felt so disconnected. It was a good lesson though. Now, that's the first thing on my list. What's the most unusual item you've ever packed, thinking you might need it, but never did?
This is a bit embarrassing, but I once packed a travel pillow for a short flight, maybe an hour and a half. It was huge and took up so much space in my bag. And I didn't even use it, totally unnecessary. I think I was just overexcited for the holiday.
That's a classic. Besides packing, what other preparations do you make before you leave for your trip? Do you organize your house? Tell your neighbors you're leaving?
Definitely. I make sure all the windows are closed and locked. And I ask a neighbor to keep an eye on the house and maybe water my plants. I also make sure all my bills are paid before I go, so I don't have to worry about them while I'm away. And importantly, I make sure my passport is valid and I check if I need a visa for my destination. These administrative things can be boring, but they're super important.
Absolutely. And I always make sure I have travel insurance. It's one of those things you hope you never need, but if something goes wrong, like lost luggage, a medical emergency, or even a flight cancellation, it can save you a lot of stress and money. It's a small cost for big peace of mind.
I agree completely. Peace of mind is worth a lot on holiday. What about money? Do you prefer to use cash, credit cards, or a travel money card when you're abroad?
I usually take a mix. I'll have some local currency cash for small purchases, like coffee or snacks, and then my credit card for bigger expenses or in restaurants. I always tell my bank I'm traveling too, so they don't see unusual activity, and block my card. That's a good tip for everyone.
That's a very important tip. It can be a real headache if your card gets blocked. All right, we've planned, we've packed, we've prepared. We're ready to go. We're going to take another quick break now, but when we come back, we'll be discussing the journey itself and those exciting first moments of arrival. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to English Podcast for Life.
Welcome back to English Podcast for Life. We're halfway through our summer vacation special. Mark, we've planned, we've packed, and now it's the travel day. What's your favorite part of the journey? Is it the moment you leave your house, getting to the airport, the flight itself?
Oh, for me, it's a mix. I love the feeling of closing my front door, knowing I'm off on an adventure. But the real moment is when the plane takes off. That feeling of lifting into the sky, leaving everything behind, watching the world get smaller below you. That's when the holiday truly begins for me. What about you, Sarah?
I love that too. For me, it's also the arrival. That first step out of the airport or train station, feeling the different air, hearing the new sounds, and getting that first glimpse of the new place. It's a wonderful moment of excitement and anticipation. And of course, checking into the hotel or apartment.
Yes, checking in and dropping your bags. That's a huge relief. Do you like to settle in first, or do you head straight out to explore?
I like to settle in first. I'll unpack a few essential things. Maybe make a cup of tea if I'm in an apartment, and then I'm ready to go. My ideal first few hours on vacation usually involve a leisurely walk around the immediate area. I try to find a local supermarket or a small shop, and just get a feel for the neighborhood. Do you like to hit the main attractions straight away?
Not usually. I like to get my bearings first, like you said. Maybe find a nice local cafe for a coffee, or just sit and people watch. I love observing local life. Then, in the evening, I definitely look for a good local restaurant to try the cuisine. Food is such a big part of the travel experience for me.
Me too. Let's talk about that. What kind of food do you always look forward to eating when you're on holiday?
Anything fresh and local. If I'm by the sea, it has to be seafood. Fresh fish, grilled prawns, delicious. And I love trying local specialities, things I can't get at home. I'm also a big fan of street food. It's a great way to experience a culture. And of course, lots of ice cream on hot days. What about you, Sarah?
Oh, you're making me hungry, Mark. I love fresh salads, olives, and local cheeses. If I'm in a Mediterranean country, I adore the fresh vegetables and the simple, flavorful dishes. And I always try to find a good bakery for fresh bread in the morning. Do you try to learn any food-related phrases in the local language?
Absolutely. Please, thank you, delicious, and can I have the bill? Are essential. It's polite, and it shows you're making an effort. I think locals really appreciate that. Have you ever had a surprising or unusual food experience on holiday, something you didn't expect?
Yes. Once in Vietnam, I tried a fruit called durian. It's famous for its very strong smell, which some people find terrible, like old socks. But it tasted sweet and creamy. It was a very strange experience, but memorable. What about you? Anything unusual?
I once tried fermented shark in Iceland. It smelled and tasted incredibly strong, like cleaning products mixed with fish. I managed one small piece, but that was enough. Definitely a taste adventure I won't repeat quickly.
That sounds like a true challenge. So, apart from the delicious food, what activities do you love to do to make those special holiday memories once you're there?
I love exploring historical sites, walking around ancient ruins or old castles. I also enjoy visiting local markets. It's a feast for the senses, with all the colors, smells, and sounds. And if there's a chance to learn something new, like a local craft or a cooking class, I'm usually up for it.
Those sound like wonderful ways to connect with the local culture. I love visiting art galleries and museums, even small local ones. I also enjoy just taking long walks in beautiful scenery, whether it's along the coast or through a pretty village. And I always make time for reading a good book by the pool or on the beach. Simple pleasures are often the best.
They really are. And what about souvenirs? Are you a big souvenir shopper, or do you prefer to just take photos and keep the memories in your mind?
I like to buy small, authentic souvenirs. Something handmade by a local artisan, or a specific food item that I can't get at home. Something that feels unique to the place, rather than just a generic tourist item. What about you?
I'm the same. I used to buy lots of cheap t-shirts, but now I prefer something more meaningful. Maybe a small piece of local art, or a unique piece of jewelry. Or, if I find a great local spice blend or coffee, I'll bring that back to relive the taste memories.
Excellent choices. We've talked about so many wonderful aspects of summer vacations. But as we know, not every trip goes perfectly. We're going to take our last short break now, and when we come back, we'll be discussing those funny or not so funny at the time travel mishaps and sharing some of your fantastic listener stories. Don't go anywhere, you're listening to English Podcast for Life.
Welcome back to the final, exciting part of English Podcast for Life. We've covered a lot of ground today, from dreaming to exploring. But now, it's time to talk about the unexpected side of travel. Sarah, let's be honest, holidays don't always go exactly as planned. Have you ever had a memorable travel mishap that you can laugh about now?
Oh, absolutely, Mark. Many times. One that comes to mind is from a trip to Italy. We arrived at our rented apartment late at night, exhausted, and the key that the owner had left for us didn't work. We spent about an hour trying everything in the dark, and finally had to call the owner at a.m. He arrived looking very sleepy and realized he'd given us the key to the apartment next door. We laugh about it now, but at the time, it was quite frustrating.
Oh no, the wrong key, that's a classic. I can imagine the relief when you finally got inside. My memorable mishap involves navigation. I was driving in a foreign country, relying on my phone's GPS, and it sent me down a very narrow, unpaved road that was really just a path for goats. I had to reverse for about a kilometer, very slowly, with trees scratching the car. It was terrifying, but it taught me to always double-check the route on a map, not just follow the GPS blindly.
That sounds like a true adventure. It's amazing how those challenging moments become great stories later. Have you ever had a problem with a flight? Like a big delay or a cancellation?
Oh, yes. Once I had a flight canceled due to bad weather. I was stuck in the airport for about 12 hours, waiting for the next available flight. It was annoying, but I just tried to make the best of it, caught up on some reading, listened to podcasts, and ate too many airport snacks. It reminded me that flexibility is really important when you travel.
That's very true. You have to be prepared for the unexpected. Now, we asked our wonderful listeners to send in their own summer vacation stories, and we've received some absolutely fantastic ones. Let's share a few.
Yes, let's do it. This first one is from Liam from Ireland. My funniest summer holiday memory is from a camping trip with my friends. We pitched our tent right next to a family of ducks. Every morning, they would waddle right past our tent, quacking loudly, like they were saying good morning. It was hilarious and a great way to wake up.
Oh, Liam, that sounds adorable. I love friendly wildlife. Here's another one from Sofia in Brazil. Last summer, I was trying to learn to paddleboard in the sea. I kept falling off, and a very friendly dolphin kept swimming near me, almost like it was laughing. It was incredible, even though I got very wet.
Wow, Sophia, a dolphin friend. That's an amazing experience. Thanks so much for sharing that. And one more, from Kenji in Japan. My family went to a theme park last summer, and my dad, who hates roller coasters, was tricked into going on the biggest one. His face in the photo they took was priceless, a mix of terror and total shock. We still have the photo on our fridge.
Oh, Kenji, poor dad. But what a fantastic memory and photo. Thank you so much to Liam, Sophia, Kenji, and everyone else who sent in their stories. We absolutely loved reading them. It really reminds us that summer vacations are all about making those personal, sometimes funny, unforgettable memories.
They truly are. So, as we wrap up this very special episode of English Podcast for Life, Sarah, what's your ultimate piece of advice for our listeners who are planning or dreaming about their summer vacations this year?
My advice would be, embrace the unexpected. Don't aim for perfection. Sometimes the best memories come from the moments that don't go exactly to plan. Be open to new experiences, try new foods, talk to local people, and most importantly, relax and enjoy the break.
That's fantastic advice, Sarah. And my advice would be, step out of your comfort zone, even just a little bit. Try a new activity, visit a town you've never heard of, or try to speak a few more words of the local language. You might discover something amazing about the world and about yourself.
Wonderful advice, Mark. And that brings us to the end of our summer vacation special on English Podcast for Life. We've had such a fantastic time chatting about holidays, and we really hope you've enjoyed listening and felt inspired.
A huge thank you for tuning in today. We love having you with us. Don't forget to follow us on social media for more tips, behind-the-scenes fun, and to tell us what topics you'd like us to discuss in future episodes.
From me, Sarah, and Mark, wishing you all a truly wonderful, sunny, and memory-filled summer.
See you next time on English Podcast for Life.